Welcome to the SEC Stock Exchange, where arm talent is currency and touchdowns are dividends. Today we're evaluating which quarterbacks are booming and which ones are headed for a crash. Quarterbacks are the most volatile asset in college football. Some are safe blue chip investments, others are high risk, high reward gambles, and a few already look like penny stocks. Let's break down which quarterbacks we're buying and which we're selling. We had this conversation regarding first-year quarterbacks and who would step up a couple weeks ago, from Simpson to Austin Simmons, Gunner Stockton, Bo Pribula. And I've got to admit, there's some guys that surprisingly have stood out that were not on that list. Of course, you have the household names like Nussmeier, Sellers. We all knew Taylen Green had the talent, but the biggest question was, were the cupboards bare around him? Well, if that's the case, he's morphed into Taylor MacGyver Green, because he's doing a lot with a little, leading the SEC in passing touchdowns so far this season. But here's the thing, and the reason we decided to do this "we know who they are where" segment, because numbers do lie. And when you're looking at some of the teams so far, I'm seeing a bit of empty calories. And noticeably, when you look at Taylen Green's numbers, percentage dropped each game. Touchdowns dropped each game. Yards per attempt dropped each game. And the unfortunate fact is, the schedule's only getting harder from here. And at this point in the season, I had Arkansas at 2-1. But I also, unfortunately, have the number under on their wins total. So nothing I've seen so far has been quite surprising, besides the huge 7-point spread that they have going into this week. And them beating Memphis convincingly will be the first thing that has surprised me this season. So with all that said, I'll be selling my stock in Taylen Green. I believe at this point in time, he's due for some regression, even if he has a great game versus Memphis. The schedule is not played out for him. It doesn't give this team much room for error. And with a small margin for error, that only adds onto the plate of Taylen Green. So, therefore, Taylen Green stock is overbought, and I'll sell it at a high. For anyone who doubted Alabama, you just might be a prisoner of the moment. The biggest issue in Alabama's loss versus FSU was their defensive efforts, if you ask me. What I seen in Wisconsin game were the signs to get this team in the right direction. What I saw versus the Wisconsin defense was growth, conviction for Simpson. 0 interceptions on the season, completing 71% of his passes. Top 3 amongst quarterbacks. Gunner Stockton also has 0 interceptions as well. But these are 2 different games that these two are playing. And when we needed him, we seen Gunner throw the ball as well as he's been able to run it. And the ironic part is, both of these teams have a bye week this weekend, before their huge showdown next weekend versus each other. Few things will be determined during this game when Georgia takes on Alabama. Number 1, is Bama back on track? Yeah, you dropped the baton. How do you pick things up and finish the race? Number 2, this will be Georgia's best defensive test so far on the season. Not only will we pay attention to how that UGA offensive line performs, but also their goal line execution. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, and we'll come back to that next week. And then you have Johnny Matier, the Heisman frontrunner, at plus 800, tied with Carson Beck. Oh, how soon do they forget? Carson Beck was 60-1 before the season started. So things can change fast. Beck has a huge stage this weekend dueling against DJ Lagway, who's in desperate need for a bounce back. Though all the hype is in Norman, I'm going to have to buy some stock in College Station. And it's rising. And give it to Texas A&M and their quarterback, Marcel Reed. I believe Marcel Reed will continue to grow. I believe he's handled his situation honorably. And since stepping in for Connor Wegman last year, he's only been getting better each and every week. And getting Auburn after this battle that they'll have against Oklahoma this week, then Mississippi State, Florida, and Arkansas, there's a stretch here that could possibly have us discussing Reed as a Heisman candidate, especially depending on how Matier plays versus Auburn. Just imagine this. Matier struggles. Regardless of win or loss, Reed gets a shot at Auburn right after that, after that much anticipated game that Auburn plays against Oklahoma. You literally have a matchup comparison on back-to-back weekends where you can compare and contrast the two versus a familiar foe. I'm hitting the buy button. I'm going long. I'm taking Marcel Reed as the quarterback I expect to continue to surge for and increase his stock over the next few weeks. Well, that's my buy-sell segment. We're going long on Marcel Reed, and Taylen Green stock might just be at its peak and time to short. Make sure you leave your comments and takes. Who are you going long? Whose stock are you selling? Follow on socials at Bombo ENT Group. Make sure you hit the share, like, follow button. I am Joe Bombo. And this is iHeartSEC.